We are live. All
You are a liar.
Okay. Welcome. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. This is not a typical story session like what we're used to with the Eternal podcast. Today we're focusing on mechanics, and we're trying to fine-tune some things. You've known and you've seen that this channel is based on developing a brand new tabletop role-playing game that's focused on story first. Now, there's some other elements like combat, magic, like crafting certain things. That's all important to the story. That's all important to the engine. The point for tonight, though, is to focus on a handful of specific subsets that allow us to tell the story more effectively. And that means we're going to be getting into some character creation. So, for the time being, what I want to ask you guys, if you'll remind me, do you have access to a list of the lineages from the Eternal game? If not, I can drop those to you.
Probably somewhere.
Go ahead and search that up. If you have it, drop it into the StreamYard chat. Oh, the private chat, not the group chat. As they're looking at that, part of what this engine does is it uses every portion of a character's build as a form of inspiration for storytelling. I refer to that as a little bit of the Chekhov's gun mechanic. I'm calling it Karma's gun closet. So as he's hearing this information, as he's receiving information from players, they're volunteering which portions of their build they want to go toward the story. And that's something that's really important because that shows me, oh, this is the thing that's most important to them. That way, if there's someone that has a small number of certain mechanics that they want in the story, great, we'll throw that in there. And I understand they're probably more in this for like the mechanics. They're more about this for like min-maxing and things like that. You can do that, and that's fine. The other side is if someone comes in there and says, I want everything in there. Okay, so now I need to prioritize and make sure that they're balanced with other members of the group. Perhaps those that have more story potential or those that have these specific elements of their origins that are highlighted as, I want this in there. I want to experience this. I want this as part of my story. Then what you'll end up doing is kind of shuffling and stacking different origin elements or elements of the Karma's gun closet to make sure that you account for those things, that you're staying true to the premise of the promise. Promise of the premise.
One other thing that I want to point out that we as players and Karma have discussed about this project as the TTRP as a whole that I don't think we've mentioned enough in streams or any other spot is that this engine is designed first and foremost as a storytelling engine. So unlike what you find with D&D 5e, where it's more like a combat engine, and it doesn't feel like all of those utility spells aren't as useful. This is a scenario. This is a game where we want it to be about the stories. So if there are specific utility spells, they're going to be a lot more useful here because they serve story purpose and they're story relevant. Combat is a part of the story elements here because it is a fantasy world, but the focus is on storytelling.
Correct. And thank you for specifying. This isn't just claiming we're telling stories. No, every mechanic that you see is designed to highlight the story that you will tell at your table. It's to really engage everyone and to make sure that they're volunteering stuff they want to participate in. It also gives them the ability to say, hey, Karma, behind the scenes, above the table, I did want to go through this particular story arc. Can we hit on that soon? It gives you the ability to negotiate and talk about those things that you've committed to as a table.
The other way to say it, to semi-quote Brennan Lee Mulligan, D&D 5e is a combat engine, so if you're a really good storyteller, you can use 5e to run your combat for you because it kind of runs itself. This engine is supposed to be designed in the opposite way. If you're already solid on combat, this will help you tell a story if you're not the best storyteller.
And I think that requires a little bit of humility in that. Can we acknowledge that? We don't want to say sometimes, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think it's such a disservice because we get into these situations where we're offering trust, but then we don't trust ourselves to demonstrate a little vulnerability. And I think it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your table to the best of your ability. Now, I'm currently loading up There we go. There we go. Hold up.
I do need to double check if I actually do have the list of races.
All right, I've got those. I've got those here.
If you have the most updated version of the manual, then you will have it. It's on page.
Boop. I'm going to drop that in chat.
Page 7
All right.
of the menu.
Oh no.
Ooh,
That chunked it all off. I am so sorry.
no, it's fine. I've probably got it somewhere in my email. It's not the end of the world.
Okay. Just to run things down, and
I'm wanting to
for
be
people
lazy
at home
and
can understand
have people
what-
look for it for me.
Yeah. So lineages in this game are similar to species in the new D&D. It's essentially deciding where you're coming from. What is your biological ancestry, right? And in this one, there's actually 3 different categories: humanoid, hybrid, and air. Now, these each have their own flavor to them. One is very much in the body and being mortal. One is very much a more animalistic, more hunter kind of a thing. The last one is much more divine. So these are the kind of elements. And I'm going to read this off for you, Hayden, excuse me, to be able to, jeez, you're just synonymous. Both you and your character are synonymous, my brain. I'm sorry. These are the different kinds of creatures. There's Merling. These are sea elves. Mossfeet. The analog for this one might be hobbits. Mundani, human beings. Orkin, orcs. Stonebrow, dwarves. Trollkin, trolls. Now, for the next category, those are all the humanoids, right? The next one is the agency category. Or excuse me, these are the hybrids. We have Aviara, bird folk. Phelan, cat folk. Scaladrin, lizard folk. Tauren, bull folk. Urson, bear folk. Wolfkin, wolf folk. The last category is the heir group. Heirs of something. They inherit something. These are the Aesidra, which are the wisps that you might be more familiar with if you've played the game, earlier versions of the game. Celesti, these are the ones that are descended from deities of some kind. Eldran, these are elves, analogs to elves in this game. Jotara, these are the ones that are related to the giants. The Hellbound is actually closely related to the Celesti. So what you have not yet seen, players have not yet seen the one mystery lineage that I'm not going to reveal here. But the final one that I have listed is Simulacrum. Those are the list of 18 lineages that we have access to. Okay, so you guys have picked that. Let's jump back over and get you guys your virtues and vices. Virtues and vices are this game's way of creating karma. So as you are playing your game, you're having fun with your friends at your table, you'll notice that the host of the game, karma, the embodiment of a give and take, of responding to what you do, they are going to be kind of tapping into your character's virtue, the thing that they try and hold to in tough times, or their vice, the thing that breaks them during hard times. And as the players go through this, when you are true to your virtue, or when you are true to your vice in breaking with, what you should be doing, and you just go with your vice instead, those both actually earn you experience in the game. And based on how you act, how honorable you are to both of those prompts, you actually help the story world around you respond. There will be people that are not very good with demonstrations of patience. People that are kind of more seedy or impulsive might see that as an NPC and go, ugh, and they won't like you going forward. That's how karma is going to respond. It's much more dynamic than an arbitrary good and evil scale. Now, to those points, let's get you guys listing off some virtues. Now, these are kind of the working titles, working virtues and vices for this iteration of the game. Still in beta, but I want to read these off for you. So, Hayden and Kim, I want you guys to be able to hear these, and then whichever one kind of props up the most for you, I want you to write down. If you have 2 or 3, write them down and then pick your favorite when we're done, okay? Virtues, let's do this quick. Humble, gracious, patient, resolute, generous, temperate, devoted, brave, candid, prudent, adaptable, and merciful. I have to list these off because we're going so fast, but that's kind of in service to you because you're going to go with your gut. Think of one of those virtues, write it down for your character. Let's go to vices. Granted, you don't need to have both. You could have one or the other if it means a more compelling experience for you as a player. But you can do both. It means a more dynamic characterization and role play element as you get into your story. So, vices. These are the things that your character breaks against in game when times get tough. Your character might be proud, covetous, explosive, lazy, greedy, excessive, craving, despairing, untruthful, foolhardy, obstinate, or begrudging. Did you guys get one virtue or one vice? If you got both, that's great, but I want to make sure you have at least one. Good? Okay. Thank you. Now, let's talk about your story flags. Story flags in previous iterations of the game have given you the ability for an literally overarching arc. So you can kind of play to your character's virtues and vices. But the thing that's going to help you sell a story is to have something to pursue, some ideal that your character is trying to attain by the end of their story. These can change between episode to episode. They can change after a certain collection of episodes, maybe a story arc within the narrative that you're telling, or they don't have to change at all. But these are the kinds of story flags, things that I'm actually changing, rebranding into callings. The calling that your character feels drawn to in the course of their story. So keep these in mind. And as you guys are hearing this, Hayden and Kim, I want you to hear this. When you're going through your experience with your actual characters, I want you to keep these callings, these vices and virtues in mind, because this will help me develop a more specific experience for you. Okay, we've done a lot of work for Firestorm and Micah, and that's great. This is going to help me keep things concise and focused so that I can jump in with your guys' story elements when it matters most to the narrative experience. So callings. If your calling is to wander, you're pursuing exploration. Home is safety, protection, security. Lore is knowledge. Grit is mastery of a certain thing. If you want to look at Ash Ketchum, he wants to be a Pokemon master. He has to go through the gauntlet of challenges in order to get there. Hercules is another comparable character for that particular calling.
I'd argue Hercules is more like faith. Or sorry, not faith,
Yeah.
fame.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so here's Unbound. Unbound, if your calling is to be unbound, it means you're looking for liberation. And maybe not just within yourself, but to make sure everyone is liberated from something. Fame, you're looking for acclaim. Jest, this is about pleasure. It's about fun. It's about high energy. The dopamine is strong with this one. Comely, if your calling is to be comely, it means you're looking for belonging. The heart is about intimacy. And that doesn't necessarily mean something sensual. It just means that you have the ability to be vulnerable and to share yourself, to be your true self with someone. Vigil. If your calling is vigil, you are focused on service, being of service, helping others. If your calling is craft, you're looking for innovation. Order, the calling of order means that you're looking for control. The calling of the crown means you're looking for ascension of some kind of higher power. The calling of mercy means you wish to extend compassion. And the calling of the omen means you are pursuing a destiny. Now, each of you guys have something you've picked from there?
Yep.
Hayden, what you got?
So
Yes or no? What is it?
I did have one, and then I lost it for a second.
Okay. I'll name them off really quickly, okay? Wander, Home, Lore, Grit, Unbound, Fame, Jest, Comely, Heart, Vigil, Craft, Order, Crown, Mercy, Omen.
I think I'm looking at the 0.5 edition that has different.
You are
names
looking
for
at
some
the
of these.
0.5. That's okay. I'm reading these off on my updated rule set, and I have not
That's-
sent that to you.
That's
I want to make
0.6.
sure that's clear. 0.6, yes. Okay. So, did one of those stand out to you, my friend?
Yes.
What do you think?
Honestly, Grit.
Excellent. I'll have you do Grit for this one.
And it's because the virtue I chose is devotion, and the vice was explosive.
Oh no, that's a fun combo, dude. Do you feel
I chose
that?
it on purpose.
It rewards a narrative creativity. So you're literally developing a framework for you to play this character to the story, and now we just get to see you have fun and be creative.
Basically, what it's going to come down to is like, yes, I'm very devoted to my things. I'm trying to develop the grit to not explode.
There you go. So one of the other elements that I'm not going to run you through these for the sake of time, but I want to make sure that we give you the chance to experience this moving forward. As you play the game, you'll also have access to epic traits. These are specific abilities that you have based on the situation at hand. For example, if you have Clear Mind, the epic trait Clear Mind, once a day, once a session, you could say, you have the ability to completely resist certain psychic or logical attacks against your character. So if someone's trying to persuade you, if someone's trying to magically corrupt you, if someone's trying to outsmart you or hide something from you, you can use Clear Mind to make sure that those things have to be reconciled to you, not the other way around. And I believe there are 12, if not 15, such attributes in the epic traits category. Adaptation is another group of special skills that you'll be able to utilize. You get to pick one of these, and I think there are actually 18 of these. These are environmental adaptations that your character has developed by virtue of who they are and where they have grown up, where their people have grown up, and how your character specifically has either trained or been raised to live effectively. For example, you might have a adaptation to be in mountainous regions, meaning that if you're in the mountainous regions, difficulties for you in that region are going to drop a little bit. If you are familiar with the desert, the tundra, the jungle, the hinterland, which is more forested woodland area, rivers, coasts, oceans, all of these and much more are available to you to be able to pick one to start the game and more as you go through your experience. So far, we've covered the lineage, the virtue, the vice, the calling, and then I've given you an overview of the epic traits and adaptations. Okay. As we're going into this, I want to make sure that we are also dealing with our origin elements and how they apply to Karma's gun closet. Now, that is in direct reference to Chekhov's gun. That's a storytelling technique that comes up a lot, and once you hear it, you're going to see it everywhere. Chekhov's gun is the principle that if you're watching a play and you see a gun above the hearth of the fireplace in the first scene, that gun has to go off sometime in the play. Everything has to be focused. Every detail has to be important. But in terms of storytelling, knowing your character's origins as Karma, the host of the game, will empower you to help your characters and your players experience incredible highs and lows. So knowing that, I want to go through, and we're actually going to jot down some of these ideas. I'm getting notifications like crazy from the extended family. Now, as I'm asking for these things, I want you guys to write down, you already have written down some of these in the private chat, but I want you to continue putting that in the private chat even as we discuss them out loud. So let's go one by one. Lineages. I see that Ophelia, Kim, you said it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's fine. I'll answer to both.
You had mentioned you wanted to do Phelan, the cat folk.
Yes.
Excellent. That means for me as Karma, I can go in and look at my world building to say, okay, the Phelan have grown up in clusters in this region, this city, this town, near this river, in the mountains. And because of the specificity of the world building doc, you actually have the ability to say, okay, I want my character to have grown up in the mountains. They're a Phelan, they're a cat folk. Can we make that happen? Well, heck yeah. Look out in nature in the real world. Cats, big cats, the tigers and leopards of the world. Lynxes are actually one of those that live in the mountains, the Arctic regions. Leopards live in the mountains. There's a handful of different directions you can take that to draw inspiration for the aesthetics of your character. Hayden, you mentioned you wanted to be Eldran, Elven.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Then let's jump as well into virtues and vices. You did explain your virtue, vice, and your calling. So would you mind, Hayden, drop your virtue, vice, and calling into the chat for me? And then Kim, if you would do the same thing. But I'm actually going to ask you about yours a bit further, both of yours a bit further, as you guys respond. Now, again, these are elements that you are utilizing as Karma, as the host of the game, to be able to call back to in the course of your homebrew stories. The way that this engine is being built, you'll also be able to adapt those elements to the adventure modules that will come in separate tomes and editions of the game. So as these guys are typing them out, all right. So let's jump back into you, Hayden, as you're looking at this. Your virtue is devoted, your vice is explosive, and the story flag or calling is grit. Now, you had mentioned that you wanted that to be because you want to pursue this greater purpose, but you're kind of explosive, and the story goes that your grit is intended to help you overcome that anger.
Correct.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And this is the funnier part about it too that I was thinking of. The virtue and the vice do go hand in hand. He's very devoted to what he thinks is right or wrong, or whatever that ends up being. He's very devoted to that, to the point where his temper can get the better of him if people are insulting towards it.
Right. So the question is begged then, because some games you really want that role-playing experience. You want to be able to have a nuanced portrayal of these characters, even if they are explosive, kind of quick to temper. So how do we make that safe? How do we make that inspiring at the table, right? How do we draw from that and draw improvisational momentum from that? Well, for me, it's less about trying to codify and make sure everyone is safe and sound here. A lot of that discussion comes from session zeros. It comes from having an open and honest conversation about what you can expect. You can say, I want to portray a character that's explosive. Someone at the table might raise their hand and say, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that. They don't have to give an explanation. But if you're with a table that's more intimate, more friendly, more knowing of each other, you might not have to, and that's fine. What we're doing here is drawing inspiration and pulling inspiration from players, my players here, to be able to understand what we're okay with. And so it leads me to have a prior conversation to confirm with my other players, like Kim. Kim, in this situation, I know you need your camera off at times, and that's fine. If you need to shut it off, go ahead.
Yes.
But I want to understand, are you okay if Hayden is portraying an explosive character?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that honesty. I just want to make sure that we're being safe about how we're portraying everybody, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So, that in mind, I can then keep that as a means of telling this story effectively. Now, grit has a lot to do with overcoming that anger for this character. And I think that's wonderful. It's a brilliant combination. The devotion aspect, I'm wondering where we can draw inspiration. And that might mean, for me as Karma, I get inspiration to ask him more. So, Hayden, did you have a direction with that devotion? Like, what is that devotion centered on?
I haven't quite thought of that yet because, sure. and that's due in part to, we currently haven't really talked about what story is being told. and this is going into me as a player, the way that I tend to make my characters. Some people accuse me of being a min-maxer. I'm not. I like my characters being effective at what I have chosen for them.
Correct.
But I also like them fitting into the story. So if I don't know what the story is ahead of time, I'm going to start making general things about a character where it's like, okay, like this is kind of like the fighting style I'm going to want them to have, but I don't know how they fit into the story yet. So I haven't quite chosen what race they're going to be. I haven't chosen what their background looks like. But the moment that I know more about the story, then it's like, oh yeah, so if my thing is devotion, with my thing being devotion, if we're on like a quest for a church, it could be that I'm that church's paladin or priest or something like that. Hence why I get so explosive when people are disrespectful of it, because that is my entire life.
Now, with those things in mind, if you don't know the story beforehand, it's good to make a general character. But that also means me as Karma, I can see the origins they're giving me, and I can find opportunities anywhere in the story world based off of the world tome. This is a specific reference, a different reference that you'll get access to as you are in the course of buying these books for your table. But the world tome is going to allow you to find different regions of the world that cater to those specific origins. So if it's Eldraan, right now, the story that we're telling in our long-form campaign or long-form playtest is focused on a military conflict that ended 70 years ago to the current storyline of the game. And the resulting power, the superpower of this continent, is called Malbanara. Malbanara's 3 principal lineages that teamed up and overcame their aggressors are Mundani, the humans, Hellbound, which is an offshoot of the Celesti. They're horned and they have darker red skin or purple skin too.
Think like tieflings from D&D, but slightly differently coded.
They also have a digitigrade pair of legs. So instead of just humanoid knees, they actually look more like canine or even feline type legs. The last one is Eldraan, the elves. And that is where, now that you've said that, I've created this general character, says Hayden. What kind of story can I tell? Well, you can actually plug and play this character in any number of places based on those origins. And specifically, when I'm thinking based off of you, it might actually be worth it to have you explore a character, a story set within the Empire from the Empire's perspective. If you were if you were an archer, if you were a soldier, if you were a politician, if you were someone that wanted to support the military, if you were a farmer, but you were coded and patriotic to the Empire, you have it built in.
Yeah, that could work really well. And I will say, I wouldn't want to be a politician because in our long form story, Círdan, in some respect in the Emerys Cove, was a bit of a politician. Not fully and completely, because his position was not an elected position. It was an appointment. But he was inundated in the politics of the city because of the nature of his position.
Correct. Now, I will be clear with you guys. I will need to pop off in about 10 minutes. So I'll give you guys a kind of overview of the story mechanics here and how we can build out storytelling using your origin. So let's get into Kim's build. You're saying your character is going to be a Phelan. Beautiful. That's what's funny is in the lore, in the world tome that I'm designing for Malbanara specifically, Phelan are kind of a wild card when it came to the conflict 70 years ago. And because of that, they could go either way. They could go with the Empire or they could go with the people that they conquered or expelled from the continent. And you could take that either direction. But I think what's telling about this is your virtue is resolute. So you're firm in what you believe and how you pursue it. The funny thing is your vice is obstinate. You have two, not even, they're complementary. A virtue and a vice. What is a vice if not a virtue turned on its head?
Yeah, it's kind of where that's where I was going with that as well. That was my thought process. Okay, what is slightly the opposite, but not really, of this vice of all the virtues listed? Oh. Mm-hmm. And I actually took a second to look up the definitions of both just to make sure. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, these are kind of the same concept,
Mm-hmm.
taken to very different extremes.
Yes. I think in a lot of ways, people might see this as a dumbing down of the alignment system from bigger games like D&D. And I disagree. This isn't a dumbing down. It's a completely different version of essentially character motivation. How are you going to engage the story? How am I, as Karma or as the host of this game, going to be empowered to reward you for staying true to your character? And for those that argue, oh, I hate the people that say, it's what my character would do, that's a completely different situation. That's dealing with people that are acting in spite of the desires of the table above the game. And that's a different category. For right now, I think it's fascinating that you've chosen, because you can literally pick a character that is proud for their vice and humble for their virtue. How does that work? Those are polar opposites. But if someone has a compelling enough reason to be able to demonstrate that and can do so within the first few sessions, that's lock in, man. Like, that's a fantastic storyteller. I think the most telling, though, for you, Kim, for this character is their story flag, their calling is Omen, which deals with destiny. And I can only imagine the trajectory that creates as your character's virtue is resolute, their vice is obstinate, essentially the same thing, just kind of, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, essentially. And destiny is their overarching story. How does that play out? Are they, maybe they're in the Empire and they're not necessarily even hiding it, I don't think. If they're obstinate about it, if they're being called out for why they do the things that they do in the Empire, and they're like, it doesn't matter, I have a destiny. Maybe they are so zealous for the Empire that they just believe in manifest destiny for the Empire. That could be really dark.
I know, she doesn't like the Empire.
And that is something that you can play to. You literally have built your story, and what you can come back to with a split second of review, you can see, oh yeah, this is what I'm pushing towards. If you get bored of that, make some different freaking choices. And you can do that in the game. You would be able to pivot a little bit more, but Karma is there to help facilitate an experience. And so long as it's justified narratively, you can change your virtue, your vice, and even your calling, the story flags in previous iterations. Now, how do we deal with all of those things considered? How do we deal with translating that to your game? How does Karma prepare each of those elements? Well, as you're looking at these origins, each of these categories, let me double check the list here. Your lineage, your virtue and vice, your calling, your epic trait, and your adaptation. Each of those elements provides you, the player, the ability to specify something in your story. I want to experience this. With the dynamic of belonging for your story arc, of comely, being an everyman, finding belonging with a group of people, I think that's a wonderful story arc. How would you do that if a character is humble and maybe shy? How would you find belonging if you were just trying to get yourself out there? That's a wonderful dynamic. It's a wonderful trajectory that you've built for yourself. How would you do it if you were, let's say that you were a Jotara, a giant folk, and they were a generous person, but they were also excessive? If they lived in poverty, because they literally would give people the cloak off their back and then some, because they hated seeing other people miserable, and yet they were okay being miserable themselves because they didn't see it that way. Awesome storytelling right there. This is what Eternal is built for. It's built to help you generate fun story dynamics. Now, one of the last things I want to touch on, I'm hoping I can push it a little bit further. Okay, so Kim actually dropped this question. I'll read this out for everyone to be able to consider. How do you do belonging when you have a shy character? It's just the introvert experience. You get adopted by an extrovert. Where's the lie? Like, no notes.
Yeah, you said that, and that immediately, that's where my brain was That's literally just being an introvert. You eventually
Exactly right.
get adopted by your emotional support extrovert.
There
Now,
you
the
go.
funny thing is, in my real life, I actually have experience being on both ends of that.
Yep.
I am naturally more extroverted than I am introverted, but I was bullied a lot, so I got kind of pushed into introversion because of that.
Yeah.
So later on, even though I'd had my extrovert friend who adopted me since we were like 5, later on in high school, he was like my lifeblood for actually having friends. And then I got home from a 2-year ecclesiastical trip, and literally everyone's like, dude, shut up, like you talk too much now.
That's so funny.
And certain people that I was around, we'd be off doing something and I'd just start talking to random people. Some of them ended up being friends for a while, and some of them were just random conversations.
To close off today, let's come up with a couple story ideas so that those that see this later will be able to say, oh, that's an interesting take. The best part about Eternal, it's not even just that this is one game. Like, this is one mechanic within a larger group of rules and things to help you generate an effective character and a powerful story. But even here, you can use what you're learning in your session, in your games. Find a virtue, find a vice, and find a story arc that you want to comprise that helps bounce ideas within your own head that inspires you to move forward with the story. So before we close, I'm going to assign each of you two either a virtue, vice, or a calling. Now, that's the category I'm going to give you. Pick one, and then we're going to create a character arc, a character story based off of those. So, Ophelia, I want you to pick a vice. Hayden, I want you to pick a calling, a story flag. And I will pick a virtue. Whatever you're feeling, do the first thing that catches your eye. 3, 2, 1, go. Drop it in the chat, and then we'll talk about it out loud. Tried and true. Perfect. I'm already going to volunteer. His virtue is bravery. He's brave, right? Or she, you know. Hayden is saying craft for the overarching experience. So invention, innovation is going to be his pursuit. And
Which
Kim,
you do need to be very brave to do that.
yeah.
That's for you, Dale.
We're just making my character build, aren't we?
You're doing a great job, Karma. Don't worry.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
Let's see if we're gonna go brave. Let's brave for the vice. Let's go or virtue. Let's go for the vice. Foolhardy.
Foolhardy.
Because
That's not me. I'm not foolhardy.
those are also two concepts that kind of go hand in hand with each other.
Exactly right. And I think that's, again, if you pick a virtue and a vice that feel like extremes of the same thing, that's still a viable storytelling technique. Many times most of the best anti-heroes and anti-villains, they're just pushing a virtue into vice. They're brave or foolhardy. They are generous, but they might also be excessive. And there's different ways you can play to each. Now, if we were to do so brave, foolhardy, and craft, I think that this feels like there was a meme that was everywhere on TikTok when I was still using it, but it was just this. It wasn't Team Fortress 2. It was this spiky haired dude. I think it might have been League or it might have been another game, but it was a spiky haired dude that was like kind of not very intelligent. He was a pyro. He threw bombs everywhere, and the meme goes that it kind of shows him going, ding, I got an idea. That guy.
Well, that would be Junkrat from Overwatch.
Oh, thank you. Good pull. This feels like Junkrat. Because it's craft, that's his arc, that's his vibe. He's brave and foolhardy. I feel like that's a fantastic way to generate an archetype for what your character will become. Let's do this a couple more times and then we'll switch it up. So actually, we're going to switch it up now, but we're going to do this a couple more times so everyone has a chance to play one. Ophelia, I want you to go ahead.
I was just saying, just as another example, because I don't think we've said it on live, using Kieran as the example, his virtue is patience and his vice is that he's obstinate. Also, in a way, two different sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm. And the fact is that because it's so versed, there's many different options. But you get to play these extremes, even if they feel similar. Someone that's obstinate might have patience as their virtue, but someone that's obstinate as their vice might also have brave. So that it kind of it's the same thing, but you play it completely differently, even though they feel like they are extremes of the same coin.
Basically, what it can look like is in certain situations, like recently, Kieran is sitting here going, I'm being very patient with all of you. And all of the dwarves on the council are like, you are an obstinate soul.
Yeah. All right. Let's get 2 more rounds of this. We're going to go rapid fire. And then I want you guys, actually, I've already given my explanation, but I want to see how you guys would kind of portray the given categories. So I'm actually going to pick Hayden. For this round, you're going to be the guy that creates the character's background story, like I just did for Brave, Foolhardy, and Craft. You're going to be doing it for this time. And actually, I'm going to have Ophelia pick the story flag, the calling. I'm going to pick the vice, Kieran. I think, no. Yeah, you're going to be the virtue. Everyone has something different this time? Great. So I have the vice. That's right. All right. Which vice speaks to me? Yep. There we go. I've picked craving for the vice for this new character we're going to generate. You don't even have to wait on me to say something, right? You can just spit it out there. It doesn't have to be based on what I pick.
No, I kind of feel like I have to change my.
That's fine. Like, as you're playing the game, if you get inspiration from one choice, you can change the rest of them in character creation.
Well, no, it's not that I took inspiration. It's that reading both these together. It's like, I'm here.
Yeah, that's possible too.
I actually like where this is going. His virtue is that he's adaptable.
Oh no.
This is kind of scary now.
Screw it.
Should we lean into the scary vibe? Kim? Or if you want to take a different direction, go for it. It's your last turn. Do what you want.
I'm gonna potentially make this even scarier.
Heart.
Okay.
So your character's looking for vulnerability, essentially intimacy, vulnerability.
This is a person that is very adaptable, that is craving a home because they grew up on the streets of Kael'vor. They didn't have a home. They desperately want a family. They crave normalcy because they've never had it. But because of their experiences, they've had to learn how to adapt to anything and everything.
That's already so rich. Immediately.
Do you know who else it also actually immediately makes me think of?
Sure, who's that?
What's her name? Lady that's the leader of the Order of the Rose in Kael'vor. Our spy friend.
Oh, Quill.
Quill. It immediately makes me think of Quill.
You are not wrong.
Oh, by the way, you guys are going to love the next couple episodes. You're going to love the next couple story episodes. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be the best. Absolutely wonderful. All right. Enough of that. Okay. Last one. Whatever you have.
It'll be the greatest storytelling. The greatest storytelling in the history of storytelling, probably ever.
It's going to be wonderful. Okay. So we're going to have. What ones have you not done? Go ahead and just say that for me. Hayden, which one have you not done yet?
I have not done Vice.
Okay. Kim?
I've not done Virtue.
Then I will do The Calling.
I already know
And
this.
again, whatever you get, just shout it out there. Okay?
Covetous.
Ooh. Oh, no. And that means, Kim, you're going to be telling this, you're going to be giving us the background of this character. We don't even have a lineage yet. That's the thing. That's what makes this so fun. The more you layer different elements of their origin, the more power you draw into your creativity.
Oh no.
Okay, Kim, how would you say the background of this character? What does this character's background look like based off of the candid virtue, the covetous vice, and the crown? Excuse me. Let me make sure that I have that right. Actually, I mistyped. Mine was intended to be order, which is about control. How would this character's background look to you, Kim?
It might. So, this character, we might be leaning a little bit into the lawful evil here, to use D&D terminology, because
Yeah.
candid, they are very open about that they're very open that they want all the things, and they feel like they are the ones who should actually be, they probably are of the opinion they should be the one who is, in charge of one of the major powers of Melvinara. Probably a very, very smooth talking urchin who thinks Brule might need to be, could stand to be under new management.
You're not wrong. See, that's the thing. With this particular build, it's
But also-
built to be a perfect anti-villain.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, there's also 4 characters we have been introduced to that it also fits.
Name them
The
off.
king
Who are
of
they?
the King of Brule, whose name I forget,
King
but
Caius.
King Caius. It fits King Caius to a T,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the revelations we've been learning about what the heck he's been doing recently.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that's like his advisor who's being a dickhead and Caius is none the wiser of it, which is
I think it's
really
fair.
bad ruling, but whatever.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Um,
fair.
Number 2, leader of House Hammerspell.
Mm. That's so
No.
true.
He wanted to rule the council, even though he did not have the proper claim. He wanted to put for lack of a better way of saying it, he wanted to put a figurehead on there that he could control.
Mm-hmm.
He was open enough about it that we could deduce that.
I do not want to rush you, but I do need to remind you I need to
Sorry.
pop off. Next
Right,
two.
sorry, I
Next two.
The Hellbound member of the Triumvirate Potentus in the
Balthor
Maris
and
Co.
Drakesbane.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that dude.
He was way more open about it than probably anyone else we've seen.
Mhm.
And then finally, the most open and the most covetous, the Dark Tauren and his evil god.
Yep.
Order of Death, baby.
I mean, it's funny because each of these the villains, good anti-villains, those that are villainous for good reasons. So like Magneto is like a quintessential kind of bad guy, but he's an anti-villain because he's not necessarily even doing evil things. He's pursuing good objectives. It's how he's doing it. And I love that about these. So
hot take with Magneto.
sure.
Integral part of his story is that, yes, he was a Jew during World War II.
Mhm.
Integral part of his story. Another integral part of his story is that he didn't learn the lesson that he was supposed to and is the same kind of evil that imprisoned him in World War II for a different group of people.
Dude, that gets into there's so much good psychology in the X-Men franchise. Like
Oh, yeah.
Magneto alone is proof of the concept in psychology that hurt people will hurt people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's,
But my
it's just
favorites-
fascinating.
But my favorite Magneto storylines are the ones where Charles dies and he takes over the mantle, doing it how Charles wanted.
It's so good.
Because Charles's death is the catalyst for him to recognize, I've been a dick and I need to stop.
Yep. So, how does any of this affect your storytelling when you play Eternal? When you sit down to play this game, what you're essentially doing is committing to telling a story. That is what this engine is designed to do. It is a storytelling engine. By the end of it, you're going to know exactly how to portray your character and have a rich soil where you'll be able to grow up and grow with your table and build something that no one has ever seen before. The best part is that it'll feel familiar, but you'll be able to put your own twist on it. Not just because of how your virtue, vice, and calling interact with each other, but because it's you. You as the player, you as a person provide something unique that no other person can. And as you do that with your friends at the table, you will experience things that feel like it comes straight out of a Hollywood S-tier 5-star movie. I'm genuinely convinced that as you use this system, you'll be able to create experiences you'll remember for decades. Now, one of the things that I wanted to visit about, and things that I will visit with you guys later, Hayden and Kim, I wanted to talk further about how to utilize, let me double check. Oh, that's right. I wanted to make sure you understood how these elements lead into Karma's gun closet and how you would then gain XP. That's because in the course of your game, you will have the chance to act on your virtue or your vice, and that's awesome. Or even capitalizing on elements of your calling. How do you do that without just mining XP the whole time? How does that stay fair? How does that stay balanced? The way that I'm looking at that is that as you are earnestly telling your story together, and as the table works together and has awesome moments together, that's when you can volunteer XP. You don't even have to say, you're going to get XP after this. What you do as Karma, as your host, you're going to introduce powerful moments, powerful scenes, but the players and how they play to their characters' strengths, both their own and each other, that gives them the opportunity to create something spontaneous and to make it feel like you're seeing this for the first time. That's all the time that I have for tonight, but I want to thank Hayden and Kim for their efforts in helping me work this over, and for you at home being able to watch this and learn a bit more about this unique storytelling opportunity. Thanks so much. I have been Dale. I'm portraying Karma on our actual full-blown campaign, and I've been joined by Hayden, who portrays...
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
There
I
you go.
portray Kierden, who was once the lightning rod, but is now fully the vessel of Akiden.
Nice. And Kim, who portrays...
Again, who is a little mascot who's just kind of along for the ride.
Nice. Ride or die. Those are the best.
Absolutely ride or die.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a fantastic night. We'll see you around.
Ah.